Hey everybody, welcome. We're live here at Staples Center. I'm Charles E. Smith Jr. alongside the mayor. And you know what? The Kings, they clinched a playoff spot tonight. But, you know, before we get into that, of course, for those people who, like we say, some of you live in caves, under rocks, some of you do not have internet, don't follow Twitter, talk to me. mayorsmanor.com, John Hoven. Talk to us, man. Bring them up to speed.
Well, mayorsmanor.com, of course, we cover the world of hockey. We cover all the way from prospects playing in the juniors and NC2A on up to Manchester there in the AHL and the ECHL, and also, of course, here with the LA Kings, the professionals as well. We have interviews and stories from the locker room here at Staples and the training facility down at Toyota Sports Center, and, of course, on Twitter, twitter.com/MayorNHL, and our newest venture, which is Mayor's Manor Live, our weekly radio show, variety of co-hosts and guests. And this week we had Jeremy Roenick and some other people on, Nick Nixon. Good times. We do it all.
All right, fantastic. Well, the Kings clinched tonight. In fact, they clinched when Dallas lost to Nashville. But before we get into that, first let me pay homage to the sponsor here, thepuckshopshere.com. Discount hockey gear available online. Free shipping on all orders over $75. If you enter the promo code Inside Sports upon checkout, you will receive an additional 10% discount. As we continue here live from Staples Center, you hear the horn from the background. Some amateur hockey going on right now. Those are leagues. I'm a rec league legend myself.
Well, that might be one of the Kings or Sharks scoring another goal, because we had a wild one here tonight, you know, that took all the way to a shootout with, I think there were 18 or 24 goals total scored. So might have been another one.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Now, the other thing is, we take a look at the, the whole playoff race scenario. With Dallas losing, that made things really kind of easy in the picture that was murky, because that cleared it up. Now we know that Phoenix, San Jose, and LA grabbed those last three playoff spots. Now it's just a matter of who is going to ultimately win the division. San Jose and LA both at 94 points. Phoenix still controls their own destiny. 93 points. They can beat St. Louis and then win in Minnesota on Saturday. They would win the division outright.
Yeah, it sounds like things are very clear. I mean, you said it was all cleared up. It's far from clear. I think probably the easiest thing, at least for Kings fans, to pay attention to is that game tomorrow night that you mentioned, St. Louis and Phoenix. If Phoenix loses that game, that's kind of the best-case scenario for the Kings and Sharks, because then the Kings and Sharks control their own destiny. It will all come down to that final game in San Jose at the Shark Tank Saturday night. The winner of that game essentially wins the Pacific Division. On the other hand, if somehow St. Louis loses, and they still have something to play for because they're sitting atop the Western Conference, but if St. Louis loses and the Coyotes win, as you mentioned, Phoenix controls their own destiny, because then if they're able to win their final game, which is against the Minnesota Wild, they will actually win the division regardless of what happens. So it became a little more clear tonight, but really a lot of clarity is going to come after that game tomorrow, because then we'll kind of know who's in the driver's seat after tomorrow night. Is it Phoenix or is it San Jose and LA that are most likely to win the division?
Well, and there's one thing you didn't mention there is, they could wind up, if Phoenix got a tie, they could wind up then with getting 96 points. If they tie with the Kings beat San Jose and wind up tied at 96 with Phoenix. The Kings actually hold the tiebreaker over Phoenix, so if they're tied with them, they win the division. However, if San Jose winds up tied with Phoenix at 96 points at the end of the season, Phoenix holds the tiebreaker over San Jose.
I'll tell you what, how about if we switch topics, because you're probably rapidly losing viewers. They don't want to do math at 10:30 on a Thursday night, would be my guess. The bottom line is it's not really resolved yet. That's incredible. It's great for the league. Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner, was on during his weekly radio show today, mentioned that as of this morning, there were still, I believe, 33 possible matchups in the Western Conference alone. I mean, you're talking about 80 games in the books for each team. That's just ridiculous. 33 possibilities. That's great. It's good for the league. It's great for the fans. Everyone's interested, although there will be a lot of Tums probably consumed over the next 48 hours by players, coaches, fans. It's nervous time. It's crunch time right now.
Well, you know where there's going to be a lot of Tums consumed is, and it's a team that didn't make the playoffs, though, is Dallas. How did that? And they were so, Dallas was playing so well, and they were, when you look at it from a mathematical perspective, it was to the point where I wasn't even talking about Dallas when I was looking at these scenarios about a week or 10 days ago. Then here they go. They lose. They go 3-7 in the last 10, lose 4 in a row, 2 of those in regulation to the Sharks. The Sharks were at the brink of elimination. And then they pull off, they got a 3-0 shutout and a 5-2 win over Dallas. Dallas has lost 4 straight they're out of the playoffs, and boy, in Big D, things just went belly up in a hurry.
Yeah, you know, Dallas was not expected to be in the mix this year. You do feel bad for the Dallas Stars fans. I said this on the Mayor's Manor radio show the other night. I mean, you do feel bad for them in the sense that it came down to the final game of the year last season against Minnesota.
Right.
They lost, and with that loss on the final day of the season, they were bounced out of the playoffs. They were in it. They were winning the division. Late in the season, they had a shot at the playoffs again. Lettinen played well. They were given a gift in Michael Ryder. I mean, who expected Michael Ryder to have 30-plus goals this year? They lost, of course, Richards, who went to the New York Rangers. But, you know, Dallas had a fine season. They were right there until the very end, and then to be eliminated here with just a couple games to go, it is kind of a heartbreaker. You know, to kind of focus on this game, though, pointing back to what we talked about on the Mayor's Manor show as well, Jeremy Roenick was talking about the fact that he feels that you have to look to the captain of the San Jose Sharks to come up big tonight. That was kind of, those were some of his pregame comments, and he wanted to see something from Patrick Marleau. Roenick actually called him out and was saying, look, the guy's only scored 2 goals in the last 20-something games.
Right.
You know, Marleau picked up a goal tonight for the San Jose Sharks. Thornton picked up a goal tonight for the Sharks. Thornton had that fight for Doughty. I just asked, I asked Doughty down in the locker room what that was all about, and he just said, look, he wanted to go. That was my first fight, and I have a lot to learn. So Doughty was kind of humble about it and a little bit joking. Sutter, on the other hand, I think his reaction was priceless, as it always is. We asked Sutter, what'd you think of that fight, between Doughty and Thornton, and he just went, retaliation, and the final comment, why not? So, I don't know.
That was what I said with those, the first 2 fights, in fact, with there was Ryan Clough, who went at it with, who did he go with? He went with Clifford the second time. I forget who he fought the first time, though.
He picked up the Gordie Howe hat trick tonight as well, as did Thornton. So 2 Gordies in the same game on the same team. And by the way, the last San Jose Shark, do you know this? Who had a Gordie? Dan Boyle against the LA Kings. So, I mean, this is just weird between these 2 teams.
And then the way that the ebb and flow of this game, though, was strange, too, because the Kings outshoot them 18-8 in the first period. Then it takes the Kings almost 10 minutes to get their first shot on goal in the second period.
And it's a goal.
Right. And the Kings then score 2 goals on 4 shots.
I don't know if there was a flow to the game. It felt like every time that the Kings were about to kind of run away with things, all of a sudden San Jose would, right back there and tilting the ice back the other way. So this is exactly, the outcome wasn't what the LA Kings or their fans were hoping for tonight, but this is the type of game, I think, that you want to see in Game 81. Everything was being laid on the line tonight by both players on both sides, back and forth hockey, lead changes. I'm exhausted just from watching it. I can't even imagine some of those guys that played in the game.
And this was a game that, I kind of feared a little bit of a letdown maybe on the part of the Kings when it was announced, before the game that they had clinched a playoff spot. Big roar from the crowd and everything. But, the Kings came out well, but San Jose was just, like you say, when the Kings tried to get on top of them, and San Jose just was not having it.
Yeah.
And I got to admire the resilience of the San Jose Sharks, too, because I really expected them to sort of crumble. At a certain point, we look at the way, and really the way their season has gone this year, it looked like, the Kings were going to get on top of them. They were just going to fold up the chairs, but didn't happen that way.
Hey, you know what? To quote the great Ric Flair, to be the man, you have to beat the man, and that's actually what the Kings are going to have to do to win the division. They needed to beat the man. They needed to beat the San Jose Sharks in order to claim the Pacific Division title. They took it all the way to a shootout tonight. San Jose came out on top. We'll see what happens tomorrow night there with the Phoenix Coyotes, and it'd be pretty amazing for the Kings and Sharks. And the Kings have, as they've been kind of on the up over the last couple of years, and the Sharks have held that position. It would be nice to see those 2 teams go at it, and to see the winner of that game get the Pacific Division. That would be pretty satisfying.
Yeah, it sure would. No, I think, the hockey gods are on our side here. Not necessarily going to let the Kings win, but that it comes down to this final game. And I know Kings fans are going to sweat it out, but when it comes right down to it, this is what you really live for.
Right, that's what I said,
Just that one game where it's going to determine it all, and something that I remember Wayne Gretzky when he was here back in the 80s and 90s, and something he said when they won their first division title when he was here, and he said, when it comes to establishing a great team, it all starts with winning your division.
Absolutely.
Win your division, then it goes on to winning the conference, winning President's trophies, all that other stuff. But everything starts with winning your division. The Kings, if they can do this, then, maybe they're establishing a new era here of really good hockey. This is their 3rd straight year in the playoffs.
Former coach Terry Murray absolutely said the same thing coming into the season, while all of the experts and the media and everybody was hyped up, like Lindsay talking about who was going to,
Lindsay, come on in here. She's just one of
who was going to win the Western Conference. Lindsay Adler bringing us, of course, game notes tonight. But, coming into the game, coming into the season, the hype was, are the Kings going to challenge for the Western Conference, etc.? Where are they going to be seated? Number one. Number two, right. And what Murray said was, look, we just need to win the division. Let's get home ice. That's a step. We've made the playoffs the last 2 years, and the next step in the evolution here would be for us to win the division and get home ice.
Right.
And that's, like you said, that's what it's going to come down to. Real quickly, though, Sutter was also asked if there was any sort of a relief tonight when it was announced that the Kings had made the playoffs, and in typical Daryl Sutter fashion, he kind of just, what's the relief? That's what we're here to do. So there wasn't any relief on his part. And, I mean, that makes sense. The season's not over either. So you can't let up. Looked like the Kings weren't going to let up. They had a strong first period. 18 shots at one point they had put up. And unfortunately, they came out losers tonight in the shootout.
I don't know if Sutter plays poker, but if he does, I would not invite him to one of my games.
Yeah, well, talking to Daryl Sutter really is a treat because you never know which Daryl Sutter you're going to get. I mean, he can be surly at times. He can be short at times. He can be extremely funny. And I'll say that tonight, extremely funny. Check the Twitter, twitter.com/MayerNHL. I posted about 6 or 7 of them. He had some funny comments about how he doesn't really know what the refs were thinking, but he didn't text them tonight to get answers. I mean, there were just some really good classic Sutterisms from Coach Daryl Sutter tonight.
Sutterisms or Sutterosities? Sutterosity is a state of being.
Well, Sutter's pretty awesome, I'll tell you that. He's great to listen to, whether it's after practice or after a game. And, I was a little bit concerned, going into the room tonight to check to see what the mood of the team was going to be.
Right.
This was a letdown for them to lose. They really wanted to win on home ice, and it would give them a little bit less pressure going into San Jose. But I'll be honest. I mean, I talked to Justin Williams. I talked to Brown, Doughty, who else? Jared Stoll. I mean, there were a lot of the guys, and they were fairly upbeat. I mean, obviously they weren't celebrating. They didn't win. But they were fairly upbeat. They were talking positive. They were talking about the fact that they're a good road team, and they're going to go into San Jose. They're going to win that game, and they're going to win the division. And, that part was good to see. I asked Drew Doughty, how long is he going to be thinking about this game? And some guys would say, we're going to shake it off. I'll forget about it by the time I get home. Not Doughty. I'll still be thinking about it when the puck drops up in San Jose on Saturday night.
There you go. All right, so you know what? Let's go ahead and we just got a couple more minutes here. And tell me a little bit your new show, though. I know you had Dave Joseph was on there with you.
Yeah, normally we have Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period as a co-host. DB was up in Toronto this week for the fourth period launch party for the latest edition of the magazine with Joffrey Lupul on the cover. You guys can check that out at fourthperiod.com. So Dave Joseph from ESPN, who you're going to have on in just a few minutes.
Correct.
DJ came on, was the co-host, and this week we talked with Jamie Compon, Kings assistant coach. Really wanted to get into the power play. Is he the power play coach? That was a big question coming into the year. A lot of people were saying, is he the coach? Is he not the power play coach? It's not the 4 horsemen. 4 power
That's
play.
That's not Al Bundy's 4 touchdowns in 1 game either.
4 power play goals tonight, and who knows? Maybe there was a little Mayor's Manor magic in there. Compon came on the show last night. We asked him a lot of questions about the power play, and lo and behold, the power play tonight scores 4 goals.
Well, he knew they had to, because he knew once they're on Mayor's Manor, then the whole world is watching.
Wow.
But let me just ask you very, very quickly here, and just briefly, the Kings, the way that they're going to match up. Do you like the matchups that they possibly have against the other teams in the Western Conference when you just look at it overall? I like their chances against all but a couple of teams maybe, but go ahead.
I'll tell you what, you asked for me to be brief, so I'll be brief. I'll borrow Willie Mitchell's quote. Willie Mitchell said after practice just yesterday, I believe, he said, I like our chances against any team that we play in the playoffs. And I would have to say the same thing. When you look at the LA Kings, a good team in the playoffs is built from the net out. That's how Dean Lombardi has built this team on defense and goaltending. You have Jonathan Quick in net. I would take my chances any night against any opponent. When Quick's in net, this team has the one of the best defenses. I've argued the best defensive group, 1 through 6, in the Western Conference. And it's going to be tight. They're going to score some goals, but they have Kopitar, they have Richards, they have Dustin Brown. They have enough offensive talent to get it done. Yes, I like their chances.
All right, as do I. And I'll do real quick. Jonathan Quick, Henrik Lundqvist.
Oh, come on. That's not even close. Jonathan Quick, he's rewriting record books here in Los Angeles. He's the Vezina Trophy candidate. Jeremy Roenick said it on Mayor's Manor this week. I agree with him. Bernstein's tweeted it. We've all said it. Jonathan Quick. Absolutely.
Jonathan Quick. Quickie, you got our support right here. All right, everybody, and that is John Hoven, the mayor. Thank you for joining me. And, hey, you know what? We'll be doing this through the playoffs and all the way up, hopefully, into the Western Conference Final and possibly the Stanley Cup Final. So, hey, thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Anytime.
All right, fantastic. And everybody stay where you are. We're going to have Dave Joseph coming back in just a minute. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the Inside Sports production of From the Arena. I'm Charles E. Smith Jr. and about to get busy here with our next guest, and that is none other than Dave Joseph, ESPN Radio 710. So, live from Staples Center, Dave Joseph, DJ, the man, the pride of Hofstra University.
So far, so good.
All right. The Kings have clinched a playoff spot, man.
They have.
The Kings have clinched a playoff spot.
Wouldn't have said that back in January, would you? Not many people would have said that.
Well, or February, or actually the middle of March. I wouldn't
it
have.
Wasn't looking good.
Yeah.
I will say this, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but at the beginning of the season, the way things stacked up, picking up Mike Richards, all the moves the Kings made in the offseason, I said on my podcast, on the In the Crease podcast on ESPNLA.com, I said the Kings should be the favorites to win the Pacific Division, and I would expect nothing less.
Right.
Now, that didn't look good early on in the season. Tough home record. They had a bit of a slide midway through the season. Now, basically, they pretty much control their own destiny here if they can beat San Jose on Saturday night. Now, they do need some help from Phoenix. Phoenix has to lose a game here for them to be able to clinch. And I'm not sure about all the playoff scenarios yet. They're too deep to go into, and frankly, my head's going to explode if we start to break that down. But if the Kings can beat the Sharks Saturday night at the Tank, there's a real good chance they're going to win the Pacific Division.
Well, they'll have 96 points.
96 points.
Phoenix has 93 right now.
Yes.
So if Phoenix winds up with a tie and a...
here we go.
Or not a tie, but an overtime loss.
I'm heating up already. My head is getting red.
If they wind up with 3 points, they'll wind up with 96, but the Kings hold the tiebreaker.
That's correct.
Right.
But if Phoenix
gets
holds
the
4
tiebreaker,
points,
then they win it outright.
You're right.
Exactly.
So,
and Phoenix, by the way, holds the tiebreaker over San Jose. So if they wind up tied, then Phoenix will wind up getting the division over San Jose.
Way too much math for this game.
Yeah, it is. You know
that's
what?
all I know.
Kings, just go up to San Jose and win that game, and that's that.
Take care of business.
And forget about all the other scenarios
That's correct. How key would home ice be here? I mean...
you know what? I love the Staples Center crowd. That's one thing.
They were rocking tonight.
And I've always said that home ice was maybe a little bit overrated because when it comes down to it, we're talking about no matter where you play, it's the same game. The object of the game is the same. The rink size is the same.
Right.
Some buildings have better ice than others. This is one of the others.
Right. This falls in the others category.
Right. Yes. The category of
Madison
others.
Square Garden.
Fantastic building, but the ice leaves a little bit something to be desired.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, well, you know what? When you look at the playoffs, though, and if we can jump over just a little bit, we're going to talk Eastern Conference for just a moment.
Sure,
Just
absolutely.
a moment, a very brief moment. And that is, I got to call somebody out, and I'm going to call out a superstar this time.
Let's do it.
They say he's a superstar, but I have seen this pattern, and I saw it last year in the playoffs. His team has a 3-2 lead in the series. He's up 3-0 at home. They lose that game, then they go to Philadelphia and lose Game 7. I'm talking about Ryan Miller. Mr. Miller, are you a talented goaltender? Yes, you are. Are you at some times absolutely otherworldly? Yes, you are. However, if you're going to be amongst those elite goaltenders, amongst the Henrik Lundqvist, amongst the Jonathan Quicks of this world, you need to play your best hockey in the biggest moments. What's happened with him? Brooks Laich of Washington, they're tied with 2 games to play. He says, we're going to make the playoffs, and only them or Buffalo can make the playoffs.
Correct.
Brooks Laich of the Washington Capitals said, we're going to make the playoffs. Ryan Miller says, well, you know, he's not Mark Messier. He shouldn't be saying things like that because, you know, it puts a little bit too much pressure on his young goaltender.
That's a good point.
Young goaltenders? Now, Ryan Miller, he's given up 16 goals in the last 4 games, 9 of those goals in 2 games against Toronto. But the Washington goaltenders have pressure. Buffalo goes 1-3 down the stretch, out of the playoffs, because Ryan Miller, when it came right down to it, down to crunch time, he folded like a lawn chair. Anyone who, if you disagree with me, that's fine. Go ahead and send me in some proof that I'm wrong right now. I will eat these words on my very next show. But Ryan Miller is a prove-it-to-me goaltender. That's what it comes down to. DJ, am I wrong here, my brother? Am I wrong here? He's talented, yes. He is talented. He's like Pekka Rinne, but Pekka Rinne has, you know, Pekka Rinne is just tougher. They're kind of the same if you see them side by side. Two string beans.
You're questioning a guy's toughness here? Is that he's a goaltender?
Mentally
How
tough.
can he be?
I'm talking about mental toughness.
Well,
here.
listen, if it's not for Ryan Miller, the United States hockey team is not playing Canada in the gold medal game. Let's be frank about that.
So if it's not for Ryan Miller, we would not have lost in the gold medal game against Canada. Is that what we're saying? He gets you close. He gets you close, man.
Only the best player in hockey today scored the game-winning goal. Let's remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a goal scored by anybody else.
Wasn't Roberto Luongo in goal for the other side?
Yeah.
Isn't he one of those who's much maligned? Everybody gets all over Luongo, but Miller gets a free pass. I don't understand that. Luongo wins a gold. He gets a gold medal, and people are still on his butt every time they think he gives up a few soft
goals. And the reason they're on his butt is because look at the talent that Roberto Luongo has in front of him, whether it's the players in Vancouver or whether it's the gold medal team for Team Canada. That team was stacked. Come on, you could have been in net, and you could have made some of those saves. Give me a break. Much maligned. I understand why Luongo still can't catch the puck. If you watch him try to make a save, he can't hold on to the puck. I don't know what it is, if it's his glove, if it's his mentality. He
All
can't
I'm
catch
saying
the
is
puck.
when it comes down
back to Ryan Miller,
your team is right. Your team is in a playoff race. You've got Toronto twice in a row.
You do, yeah.
You should be licking your chops at that game. And what happens? He gives up 9 goals in 2 games.
All right. So
how is that even possible?
He didn't play his best game.
When this team needed it most.
Also, look at the defenseman that he has in front of him. You don't look at Buffalo's defensive core and say,
"Did you see
wow,
the goals?
They're stacked."
Did you see the goals? It wasn't courtesy of a bunch of 3-on-1 and 2-on-1s and breakaways.
I understand that.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying.
You're going to have down. Listen, Jonathan Quick.
How about Jonathan
Quick should be in the Vezina running. The man is the MVP of the team.
Let me ask you this. Let me just ask you this.
He's going to have a stinker. He didn't play a great game tonight. That's going to happen.
All year long, have you seen Jonathan Quick ever have a 4-game stretch like Ryan Miller has had right here when they needed it? At any point in the season?
No, the answer to that is no.
Right. Quick, maybe he'll have one game that's, a little questionable.
It's a long season, Charles.
That's true. It is.
It's 82 games.
Here's when you need to be playing your best hockey right now.
And it doesn't always happen that way, unfortunately.
But it does for the best players. The best players play their best when it's on the line. That's what makes you great. As they say, great players aren't always great. They are just great when they really need to be great.
Really? Well, who scored the goals for the Kings tonight? Were their best players their best players?
That's a whole different thing.
No, it is not a whole different thing.
That's a whole different thing. Hey, you know what?
What?
The shootout tonight.
The shootout tonight.
How about this?
Did the best players step up? Did they deliver in the shootout?
Are the Kings in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, all right then.
What does that mean?
That means the Kings are in the
They would
playoffs.
have been one
and
step
Buffalo isn't.
closer to clinching the Pacific Division tonight in home ice advantage if they wouldn't have won the game and gotten 2 points instead of just one and
The
blowing
Kings-
a 3-1 lead.
The Kings are in the playoffs.
They are.
And they're in the playoffs.
But that's not good enough. That's not good
because
enough.
of Jonathan Quick.
Absolutely. I no
And he's
argument.
been lights out all season long.
Yes, he has.
Right. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and pose this
I
question to
can't
you
knock
right now.
Ryan Miller. That's my. Sure, he's had some
Why can't
stinkers.
you?
I understand. Because he's one of the premier goaltenders in the league. Has he had a bit of a down year? Yeah. He's also had some concussion problems, and maybe he's not, totally 100% healthy right
Well, how
now.
about him folding against Philadelphia in the playoffs last year? A 3-0 lead at home.
And you're going to blame that all on Ryan Miller.
I see the goals that he gives up. If it's breakaways and
You
2-on-1s,
can't
that's
fault,
fine.
You can't fault Ryan Miller for a breakdown like that. You can't
No,
just
I said
solely
if it were,
throw
I
it on
said,
Ryan Miller.
We're at 2-on-1s and 3-on-1s and breakaways that are giving up the lead, then I could understand.
You're saying
that.
he's Mr. Softy. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, that's exactly. I'm saying it doesn't happen to Brodeur. Back in the day, Martin Brodeur, a 3-0 lead at home in a closeout game. You wouldn't even think of him giving up 3 goals. Patrick Waugh?
Mark Messier, we will win this game.
Yeah, that's true.
Huh. Who's
Yeah,
in net?
is he
Who's
a
in
great
net?
player?
Who's in net for the Devils?
Right.
Oh,
That's true.
Oh, look what happened there.
That's true. And then
one
what
of the
happened
best
after that?
goaltenders ever to play the game.
And then from
I believe the
95
Rangers went on to win the Stanley Cup. I believe
and
that's what
between
happened.
95 and 2003, the Devils won 3 cups.
Okay.
That was when Brodeur was really getting forged as a great goaltender. He went through those things. Ryan Miller is as good as he's going to get at this point. I can't see Ryan Miller
Wow.
honestly getting better. Brodeur was still at the point where he was getting better, where he had, just a couple seasons removed from putting Chris Terreri on the bench.
Chris Terreri. There's a blast from the past.
There
Wow.
you go. We're going to talk goaltenders
Where's Johan
right now.
Hedberg? Are you going to throw him in here too?
Jonathan Quick.
Kevin Weeks, I think he backed up Brodeur for a while, didn't he?
Hey, look, Jonathan Quick, Henrik Lundqvist in the East, who is actually a tough goaltender, side by side. Who do you want? You want Jonathan Quick? Do you want Henrik Lundqvist? It should come down to these 2 guys for the Vezina Trophy.
The Vizina, is that
The
what you're calling
Vezina,
it now?
yes, the Vezina.
The V, the big V. Who do I want in what? What's the situation?
There can only be one Vezina Trophy given out this year.
Oh, for the Vezina.
Yes.
Well, my vote goes to John Quick. It absolutely does.
Basically identical numbers. I looked at their, their goals against average, save percentage. It's just incremental differences between the two.
Quick has more shutouts.
He does, absolutely.
Quick-
10-8.
Quick is playing on a team that is ranked 29th in scoring in the National Hockey League. 29th. By the way, for those of you scoring at home, that's second to last in the league. So if you don't have Jonathan Quick as your goaltender, if you're the Kings, you're not making the playoffs. And I'm not saying you're
That's
probably not making the playoffs. You are not making the playoffs.
That's absolutely true.
That's
agree
why
with
I
you.
say he's your Vezina winner this
I
year.
agree with you. I think Henrik Lundqvist is going to get it because of there's East Coast bias going on,
I
and all
agree.
kinds of things.
I agree.
Now, also, I think Quick should be in the conversation for the Hart Trophy as well. So he's got to be. He's got to be. He held it when the Kings were averaging less than 2 goals a game.
2 goals a game, right?
He was the one showing up, and any other goaltender. This is, when you make the excuses for Ryan Miller, you talk about what's going on in front of him. Quick is getting
And
almost
then he has
0
no
goals.
offense.
Right. Quick had almost no offense in front of him, but he
Right.
was turning in great performance after great performance. If we remember, mid-season, I think there was a point where, 10 times he had allowed 1 goal or less. Or, he had allowed 1 goal, but the Kings had not converted that into 2 points.
Right, correct.
So that's getting no goal support, but still, we talk about being mentally tough. It's all about up here when I talk about toughness and goaltending. And that's why, when goaltenders live in their own world. They do.
Oh,
Coaches
yeah, you
don't
better
really
believe
know
that.
how to talk to them, and the coach
Sometimes
addresses
you
the
don't
team,
talk to them.
and you put them in another room.
You're
you
right.
just don't. Yeah, whatever they
Don't rock
do,
the
let
boat.
them do that.
Right.
Exactly.
I would say that Quick.
Hart Trophy.
I would not say Quick for the Hart Trophy, although
Malkin?
Well, yeah, I think Malkin wins it hands down.
I think he does too.
That guy has carried that team without Crosby, and they wouldn't be where they're at without Malkin. Same can be said for John Quick, but I think with what Malkin's done in Pittsburgh, I think he's going to win the Hart. I think Quick has to be in the Vezina running, absolutely, and I think he should win it. I really do.
You know what? Quick is going to wind up losing out on the Vezina. He's going to lose out on the Hart Trophy. You know how he can make up for all of it?
Win the Stanley Cup.
Conn Smythe, baby.
Conn Smythe. Well, that would
Smythe.
listen. You said it about East Coast bias, and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
If Jonathan Quick is playing anywhere on the East Coast or in the Central Time Zone, hands down, Jonathan Quick wins the Vezina Trophy.
Exactly.
Hands down. That's the thing with Henrik Lundqvist. He's on all these
And
NBC
Lundqvist
games
is
on
great.
the weekends, national TV.
Yeah.
When's the last time we see the Kings on national TV, right? I mean, no one in the East ever gets to see him because the games are so late. That's
he's
the
a
problem.
Quite handsome, well-dressed gentleman, too.
Hank?
Hank.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
One of the best-looking men in the world.
Well, you know,
According
he
to
was,
GQ, I think it was.
he was voted
Not
one
that
of the-
I read it, I just
he was
heard that
voted in
somewhere.
one of the most, what's that, 100 most beautiful people or
Right.
something?
Yeah, I was
But
in
he
there,
has he has a twin brother.
He does?
He has a twin brother, yes, who thought it was really funny that he's one of the 100 best.
Oh, he
His
did.
brother
Joel.
didn't even
Joel.
make-
Yeah, Joel. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, sometimes,
Just like you're my twin brother. We're fraternal twins.
right, we look exactly the same. Sometimes, you know, when you have the two brothers situation, one gets, like, the talent and the looks and all that.
Yeah.
He got everything.
Right.
Hank got everything.
He
there.
did.
I mean, Joel, I mean, you know, whatever. I mean, he was a decent player or whatever, but he's no Hank, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know,
Guy plays guitar in his spare time. He's got a band.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this guy can do everything.
Jesus had a brother too. So you can imagine what a tough gig that would have been.
Yeah, how do you follow that up? Hey,
All right, everybody.
Hey, Dad.
You know what? It's time to get out of here.
Oh, it
We've
is?
had some fun. Yes, and we'll be back come playoff time.
Yeah, can you believe
From
that?
the arena.
Does that not feel good?
It does.
I love
Third year
it.
in a row, and hopefully with the division-winning Los Angeles Kings. This is Inside Sports Production from the arena. My guest today, Dave Joseph, ESPN 710, and also the mayor. And remember, our sponsor, thepuckshopshere.com. Discount hockey gear available online. Free shipping on all orders over $75 and a 10% discount when you enter the promo code Inside Sports. Everybody, thanks for joining us. For Mr. Dave Joseph, I'm Charles E. Smith Jr., and we will see you in the Stanley Cup playoffs.